and the Round podcast. How many weeks, BB Shea?
This is the 10th episode right now.
Really?
This is the 10th one, yeah.
I was going to say the 8th.
10, man.
And look how much better you're dressing.
Trust me. Being around you, I'm trying to get my stuff together.
Look at the paisley
right.
that we're doing in here today.
I wore this just for you. I knew you'd appreciate me dressing nice today.
I think it looks very nice.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you.
So, since we did our NFL episode,
which got good, reviews. People enjoyed it, but we said that's it. That's
did
it.
they get good reviews?
People were like, "This is the best episode yet."
Really?
Go figure, right?
All NFL.
Yeah.
The very first question was, how's Aaron Rodgers going to be with the Jets? What did I say? Off the charts.
That's right. Sky is the limit for that guy.
Limit.
Yeah.
4 plays. That was brutal.
He was on his ass for 3 of the 4 plays, man.
I'll tell you this, and I don't want to talk too much NFL. People tell me, stop, what are you talking NFL? Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I was watching that game. Now, I normally don't.
Yeah.
I don't stay up that late on Monday nights.
But it was a big game. 9-11, New York.
Big game.
The turning of the franchise, they were going to say, against the Bills.
But I'll tell you this, all offseason, I heard, Jets and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And of course. And the only thing I heard about them was they're good running back, good receivers, great defense. Now they have a good quarterback, iffy offensive line. And can he survive the season with that offensive line? And literally the first 2 or 3 plays, I was like, they're getting to him.
He's not going to stand it. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. When he got hit, and now I know this is 2 weeks ago now, but when he got hit and then stood up and limped a little, I thought, tweaked ankle. And then when he sat back down and I saw the look on his face, I thought, he's done.
He's done.
Yes. Now, do you think he'll come back from it?
This season?
No.
No, okay, yeah, he's done this season.
Is he going to retire?
I think if he can rehab, I think he'll be back. I think he's got something to prove.
Well, I agree with you, and I do think he'll be back. But if he got, and I'm a man, now he's what, 39, almost 40.
Yeah.
And that's very close to my age. All right. Now, I've heard people say, I've seen 2 people pop their Achilles before.
Personally?
Personally, yeah. And I'll tell you what's interesting about, I'll say this. For a guy who's 39, 40 years old, if he got into the middle of the rehab, and they say it's a hard rehab, it's not, it's even worse than a knee, they say. And it's like painful and difficult. And he thinks to himself, well, I've won a Super Bowl and a bunch of MVPs. I got nothing to prove. I'm 40. I'm going to hang it up. I could see it. Couldn't you see it?
But I don't think he's built like that. I think he's going to come back. I think he's one of those guys who, if somebody makes an investment on him, I think he's going to come back and at least give him a good year.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, I would have said that about like Tom Brady.
Sure.
He loves football.
Yeah.
But for Aaron Rodgers, he toys with retirement all the time anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think he wants. If he goes out now, he's got nothing as far as a legacy goes.
Oh, you think?
I think he's going to go out on top.
Well, he's got a Super Bowl.
True, he's got a Super Bowl,
and
he's got
MVPs,
and that's fine. But I don't think the last memory he wants us to see of him is on his ass, tearing his Achilles.
When I was younger, in my mid-20s, we used to play basketball once a week, or every Thursday night we'd go play basketball. And there was a guy, actually he worked here, his name's Carl Patterson, nice guy. Yeah. We invited him to play once, okay? And he's a pretty good player. Once. I never invited anybody to anything.
Sure.
You know that better than anyone.
I've known you 10 years, never even got an invite to the Super Bowl party.
You won't be there.
I never will either.
Don't entertain it.
Not this year, never.
No. I find you unpleasant.
Fair enough.
What? Don't even think about it. Don't even joke about that. Anyway, I invited him. Somebody else invited him. Like, all right, Carl, come on, play.
Carl.
So he comes. He's a good player, as good as anybody else. He's dribbling the ball up the court, walking up the court. Suddenly he goes, and he sits down. And it was just like that. It was a light jog at best as he's in the backcourt. Yeah. And I was like, Carl, he's on my team.
Let's get it. Come on, dude.
Carl. Do you know how to play? Carl, do you know how to play the game?
You got to move sitting in basketball,
come on, Carl. Let's go. He was new, But he had, and it turned out the next day he had ripped his Achilles, and he was in a wheelchair, and then a boot, and then crutches for a year. And he worked here. He worked. You know how you work on that bottom floor?
Yeah.
And you know how we don't have any protocols for an elevator. Or anything.
Absolutely. Yeah,
anybody with any kind of disability, we just shun them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if you got to go up or down, you're screwed, bro. You're screwed.
He crawled up and down those stairs. I could have given it in my office. I didn't.
That's like me and my gout. My gout's flaring up today, and I'm struggling walking up the stairs. Nobody even cares.
You got your gout today.
It's kicking back up today, man.
I think that'll get you some ladies. I think if you say gout, I think that's what.
I'd rather tear my Achilles.
They say gout is unbelievably painful now. They say it's terrible.
It's not as bad as it has been, but I'm struggling with it.
I heard about a guy once that had gout that he had it so bad that like if you laid a sheet over him in the bed, it would like just scream out.
Yeah, the worst that it's ever been. It's pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it officially gout?
Honestly, I don't know. I've never officially been diagnosed with gout. It comes and it goes, yeah.
Is it, what part is the foot?
Yeah, the foot, yeah.
Top or bottom?
Well, the top. But it's funny because the majority of people who get them, it's around their toes.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the top of my foot.
Huh.
It's the weirdest thing.
Maybe you're going diabetic.
Maybe. I hope not. But
no, you don't want that.
I don't want that.
That's a numbing, I think, too.
No, it's definitely not numb. It's definitely a
burning.
pain. Yeah.
Is it like a burning pain?
It's like a throbbing pain.
Oh, that's terrible. I don't know about
that. Sucks. But back to Aaron Rodgers, I must say,
yes,
it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Like, I obviously don't wish bad among people, but isn't it such a New York Jet thing?
100%.
It's like the butt fumble. You get 4 snaps of Aaron Rodgers and he tears his Achilles.
It is.
They're cursed, man.
It is, but it was, and I'm not a Jet fan. I don't like any New York teams. You like a lot of New York teams.
Yeah.
I don't like them. But when I saw that, and I like, probably the Jets are probably my favorite New York team, but I saw that and I was so hurt as a fan of the league. I was like, oh no.
But here's the thing about it is that this younger generation, that's going to be their 9/11 tragedy. This is the 9/11 tragedy. Like there's a group of people who don't even know about the World Trade Centers. There's a group of people when they think 9/11, they think Aaron Rodgers snapping their Achilles.
Could you say that?
Yes, there probably will be.
That's your generation you're talking about.
Not my generation, but the younger generation.
You're a millennial.
Yes.
You know what I heard about Gen Zers the other day? You know how soft they are.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying that. I mean, I'm soft too. I'm as soft
We're
as
all
they
soft,
do.
man.
But I read the other day that you know the word feedback. Like, what's the feedback on the podcast?
Sure.
They want to change it to feed forward so it's more uplifting.
Oh, my God. That makes no sense.
Is that weak?
Yeah, that is very weird.
That's as weak as it gets.
Yeah.
The other guy I saw tear his Achilles, I was playing tennis one time, and it was a drill where you just ran across the back of the baseline and hit tennis balls. And I just met him. He was new, and it was like 3 or 4 in, and he was running across the back of the baseline, and he just went, oh, and went down.
Yeah.
And he said, I felt something pop, and it turned out to be his Achilles. And it takes a year. I mean, it's
sucks,
a long
man.
time.
Like, I hate it for him, man. I really do.
I do, too.
But...
And I did see that for Rodgers, if you're 23, okay, yeah, come back. You're 40. It's a difficult.
Yeah, he's got a long road ahead of him. That's for sure. But I
thing.
don't think he's done. I think we'll see him play again.
I don't think so either. But if he were to say it, I would be like, well, I understand.
And I think that they're going to spend all their draft picks on the offensive line. I think that's clearly their only weakness on the field. So,
and if you were the Jets, and this is all NFL now, but if you were the Jets, would you go out and try to get a veteran quarterback, or just roll with Zach Wilson as they're doing?
I say roll with Zach Wilson, because worst case scenario, you suck, you get good draft picks, and you got Aaron Rodgers coming back next year.
And Zach Wilson is a terrible quarterback.
He's not great. He's not great.
A terrible
but honestly, when he came in, I was like, it's his time. This is his moment.
Yeah.
And then he, thank God for that punt return, or they'd have been screwed.
I'll tell you that, something else about Zach Wilson. It's like, what a slap in the face to him, because it's the very next day after Rodgers tears his Achilles, they're like, well, who can we get? Every analyst is like,
what do we do?
Is there anybody? Yeah, is there anybody? I mean, they're calling Dan Marino.
Yeah. But I thought Tom Brady was going to come out of retirement.
Literally, Tom Brady. They were talking about that, exactly.
I'm in the middle of something right now, and I took a page out of your playbook, and I'm struggling with it right now.
Oh, what are you doing?
It's something that happened here at work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I work downstairs like we were talking about earlier. Yeah. So I don't want to name names, but I work downstairs with Jay, and I work downstairs with C, calendar guy.
Yeah. Oh, I know calendar guy. Yeah.
So I was going to the fridge the other day, and I saw these cheese sticks. There was 2 bags of them. One was open, one wasn't. And I was like, nobody's going to know the difference. So I took one, went to my desk, and I ate it.
Well, that is a Chris Kelly move,
yes,
isn't it? Yes.
Went to my desk, and I ate it. Yeah. Next day, went back. Okay, there's still some more here. So I took another one. I ate it. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to eat any more of these. Well, C and J come up to me in my office the next day. And your arch nemesis, they said, Jay goes, guess who C saw eating his cheese sticks out of the refrigerator? Your arch nemesis. And I was like, what a piece of crap.
Oh, you lied.
What a dirty dog.
Lied.
I cannot believe that he would do that.
Really?
And then I was eating his cheese sticks as
you
well
were
the
the
whole
one
time.
that ate the cheese sticks.
Yeah.
I have eaten off of coworkers' desks before, including Jay. You know Jay down there.
Yeah.
Runs her mouth. Is this the Jay we're talking about? She runs her
yes,
mouth.
Jay, that's Jay. Yeah.
When one time she was pregnant. This is many years ago, and she had these
the almonds.
Oh, you know about that?
She mentioned that when we were having that conversation.
Well, she doesn't forget.
She was like, Chris Kelly was eating my almonds and I was pregnant, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, what are you going to do?
She used to get these wasabi soy ginger almonds, which are very good.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of them before. I saw them on her desk one morning. I was here. Nobody was here except me.
Yeah.
And I saw them, and I had like a handful and thought, God, that's good. So then I'd go back day after day, and I'd take a few, and then I'd kind of mix them around.
Of course. Like she's not going to know.
So after like day 3, she left a note that said, I'm a poor, struggling pregnant woman. You heartless bastard, whoever you are, taking my almonds. So I had to admit that I'd done it. And then the other, when I took Neil's sandwich now, that was a real issue. I took a bite out of Neil's sandwich that was in the fridge. And then I realized it was his. It had his name on it. And I didn't know it. So I cut it in half on the diagonal and tried to make it look like it was still.
Was he ready to throw hands?
Oh,
when
he was
found
very,
out?
very. He was really upset.
So C started numbering his cheese sticks. So he went in there with a Sharpie and started numbering them. So,
the cheese sticks.
And then your boy got the blame for it, and I'm struggling with it. Now I'm
I wouldn't say anything.
I need to go get his cheese, buy him some cheese sticks.
I wouldn't say anything about that.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm like, I'm no better than this man, Chris Kelly.
That's
all
right.
I'm a dirty dog, man.
That's all right.
Oh well.
You know, we were mentioning young people how millennials, Generation Z, instead of feed back, they want the word to be feed forward, so that they can, it feels more positive or uplifting. How do you feel about this? I think I know the way you feel. Young people and I think you told me this basically. I just saw this survey. When texting, they don't think spelling or grammar or punctuation matter at all. They're just like, as long as the message comes across, who cares? You know? I completely disagree
I
with
disagree
that.
with that as well.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I know I'm younger, but I'm old school in a lot of areas, and that's one of them. It's like I love punctuation. I love grammar.
I would hope.
I love spelling. Exactly.
Did you see what Patrick Mahomes tweeted after the Aaron Rodgers injury?
No.
Patrick Mahomes was trying to tweet out, or X, I guess. He was trying to tweet out, hate that, man. But instead he used no punctuation, so it's like, I hate that, man.
So he was like, hate that, man.
Right, yeah.
Stinks. But he was like, hate that, man.
Right. So like he was glad. He tore his Achilles, Horrible.
It's like, now who's the GOAT? That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, now this is an NFL again, but now the big debate is, did the turf cause the injury, and do we get rid of artificial turf? Because a lot of players are saying to do that.
Yeah, well, I think that it needs to be uniform across the board. I don't think that people should play 1 week in turf, 1 week in grass.
Really?
I think that it should be a league rule, whether you want it to be turf or grass, which I think they all want it to be real grass, right?
All the players
yeah. I think it should be all real grass then. Yeah, I don't think it should be a case by case.
Well, here's the problem with that. Do you think that in baseball as well?
No, well, until people start getting injured like that. But I mean,
well, the problem is that the stadiums that have the artificial turf, the reason they do that is so they can play a football game on Sunday night, and then Tuesday night have the U2 concert, or Saturday night have the U2 concert, Sunday night have the NFL game. Yeah. Because otherwise the grass is ruined by the stage, and they can't do it.
Well, I think they need to stop having concerts in football stadiums. To be honest with you, what a terrible place. That's what Coliseums are for, with seats. What a terrible place to go see a concert than a football stadium.
You know what's awful? I think you'll agree with this. When the Final Four basketball tournament started being held in the football stadium, it totally screwed things up.
It did. 100%.
I mean, 35 years ago, and they were held in basketball stadium. Yeah. And players say they don't shoot as well because their optics are messed up.
Exactly.
Because there's so many, it's so far from the end, and it's just messed up.
Well, that's like they just had that volleyball game, the highest rated volleyball game with like 90,000 people. I'm like, no, just put it in where it's supposed to be. Put it where it's supposed to be. Yes.
I think I agree with that. You know what else I hate when I see it? I hate this. Now, people disagree with me on this. High school football, like the state championship here. Now, in Texas, I get it. But here, they play the high school championship game in a stadium, in a college stadium that seats 60,000 people.
Yes.
Well, 4,000 people show up.
People are there.
So it looks like it's empty and nobody cares. But if you put it at a high school stadium, it's going to be over.
Exactly. And I guess that's for the kids. They want the kids that feeling of playing on a big field.
Yes, but I think looking back, the kids would like it better at the high school stadium because there's 4,000 people in a small place, and it's like rocking.
Exactly.
Versus a cave, a cavern.
Where you can hear the players talking.
Exactly. I hate that.
No, I agree.
I can't stand it. I think it's awful.
I agree.
But I'll tell you this about the turf. I'm not convinced that the turf causes more injuries. I mean, the numbers.
True.
The NFL says it doesn't.
Yeah.
The Players Association says yes, it does.
Well, especially Aaron Rodgers' injury, that could have very well easily been on a turf field as well. It's how he came down. It's how the defender put him down, which, you can't really help that. But
well, I mean, it was an innocent-looking play.
Yeah.
But they do say that his foot got stuck in the turf, and that's what caused it.
What if it got stuck in the grass, too?
If it was
dirt underneath,
I do believe that.
Yeah.
I'll say something else about this, though. I'm a Broncos fan.
Yeah.
You know that. A year ago, the Broncos were going nowhere. They had one game left to play, and the players were complaining about the field conditions. They play on a grass field.
Yeah.
So the new ownership owns like Walmart. So they have a ton of money.
Plenty of money.
Okay, so the field had one game left to play. Neither team was going to the playoffs, so it meant nothing. But the ownership paid $475,000 to put a new grass field in for that game only.
Yeah.
So players were saying, well, the ownership really cares about it if they spent $475,000. Now, they've got billions.
Yeah,
so
very nice.
So it's nice, but it's nothing out of their pocket. So what I'm saying is, why don't we all play on grass, still have the concerts, and these billionaire owners can pay $500,000 every 6 weeks to put in new grass. You know?
Well, that's it could happen.
Or if they don't want to spend it out of their pocket, charge the consumer $5 extra. You've got 70,000 seats, $5 more per fan.
Take it out of concessions or something. There's so much money that gets circulated in those games you can get it for. But if I was the NFL Players Association, I would get together and be uniform about it. How do you guys want to play, turf or grass? And I think that every stadium should be required to do whatever the players want, because they're the ones taking the risk. And if they feel like it's better to play on grass than on turf, then you should, express their wishes, because also you're paying these guys.
Well,
don't you want them to feel the most comfortable? Granted, you're getting slammed to the ground every play, but they should have a say in that.
Well, they should have a say. But the owner is going to come back and say, but I want to have other events other than football, and grass makes it almost impossible. They're putting money over player safety.
True.
But I'd also say to you, how does Minnesota do that? They have an indoor stadium, and they're in the cold. There's no way to put grass in there. Detroit as well.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of stadiums like that. Now, if they wanted to rip off the roof.
Yeah, true.
I mean, Green Bay does it, but otherwise.
There's ways to do it. There's technology that exists to do this.
Not in Minnesota.
Yes, it does.
In Minnesota?
Yes, they'll figure out a way. If they can heat the field, then they can figure it out.
I don't know about. I don't think you can grow grass indoors in Minnesota.
I think you can. But did you ever see The Martian? He grew potatoes on the moon
out of his own shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like you told me these billionaires can't do that in Minnesota.
Others.
Yes.
Your thoughts on The Martian?
Love it.
I do too.
Great movie.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
What's Matt Damon's best movie?
Ooh, Good Will Hunting.
Great.
Good Will Hunting, probably.
Phenomenal movie.
Yes,
I loved it. Is Ben Affleck's best movie Good Will Hunting?
No, his best. I don't know. I don't like Ben Affleck.
You like Damon over Affleck?
I like Damon over Affleck.
You know what I like? Argo.
Terrible. I hated Argo.
How can you hate
it? Was
Argo?
Just terrible. The fact that it won Best Picture that year was a travesty.
How can you hate Argo?
It was boring.
You kidding
Great
me?
cast, but it was boring. I fell asleep during Argo.
Are you out
Dead
of your
serious,
mind?
Bro. Dead serious. And this whole
my
Ben
God,
Affleck...
I loved Argo. I think
hated
Argo is one of the best. I was so glad it won Best Picture.
Really?
Tremendous. And true story. It's because you're not old enough.
Maybe,
I
guess not. Matt Damon's best movie is The Departed. I take that back.
I don't know. I think Good Will Hunting over The Departed.
I think Departed is... I watched it recently on a plane, and
it's
it was
good.
So good.
I can't say anything.
So good.
I can't criticize The Departed, but I prefer... I prefer Good Will Hunting. I think Goodfellas is overrated. You do overrated, underrated.
I'm getting there too.
Really?
I liked it the first time I saw it, but I've had no desire to watch it again.
I liked it. I don't love it. Everybody says it's one of the best ever, and I like it. I do, but I don't think it's like, I think Godfather's better. As far as those mobster movies. Have you seen Godfather?
Yeah.
You don't like Godfather?
Don't like it.
You think it's boring?
It's terrible.
Boring.
It's
too terrible.
Long.
Too long and terrible and boring.
Too long.
How about
like
Godfather 2?
Didn't like it either.
Get out of here.
Didn't like either Godfather. You can take that Godfather greatest movie crap and get it away from me. I don't want to listen to it.
What?
Yes, I will not hear that argument.
You know what you should watch? There's a show about the making of The Godfather called The Offer.
Okay.
And that's very good.
Really?
It's Miles Teller.
Yeah.
plays the guy who made The Godfather.
Yeah,
and it's, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Mario Puzo, is that the guy who wrote it?
No, there's a guy, he wrote the book.
He wrote it.
And he's in it too. This guy's like the producer behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal, it's a great show.
Now that we're on television, I want to ask you this question. I feel like we shouldn't talk about it, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who's been canceled that you wish would come back?
Yeah, Kevin Spacey.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm started rewatching House of Cards. Have you ever seen it?
Of course, I saw
Absolutely
House of Cards.
incredible.
Yes, I saw House of Cards.
And I watched a scene of him, and I'm like, God, I miss that dude.
And
he is so good.
And by the way, he has been innocent in court. Like he wasn't great. But he was in a court of law.
Yeah.
He was set free. I wish somebody would give him a chance.
Because, obviously, whether or not what he did was true, I don't know. I don't get into all that. If it is true, it's a terrible thing that he did. But I'm like, that dude
But you start
incredible.
Judging people. Michael Jackson music is on the radio today.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, we cancel. You know how that is.
I do.
It's
I'm not
all
a
the
fan
time
of
now.
it.
Now, some people deserve that idiot that went to jail. That who's the guy who was just like the worst? He was horrible. He's like a producer.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, he deserves to be under the jail.
Absolutely.
But some people get canceled, as you know.
Yeah.
There's another guy, really like comedian.
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
He's my favorite comedian of all time.
I mean, he jerked it in front of people.
He did.
Which is wrong.
It is wrong.
It is
wrong. But God, he's funny.
God, he was great.
He is great. He's put out 3 specials since that happened.
But I don't think people.
People are showing out for him.
Are they coming?
He's been on like the podcasting circuit. He's been like he won a Grammy post canceling.
We should get him on here.
I think we should.
If he's doing podcast, if he's doing low-level crappy podcasts, he might as well come on here.
Yeah, but he's toured several times. I think he's kind of past it.
See if you find this idea controversial.
Yeah.
You know, there was a guy on the CBS morning show. I forget his name. He was canceled because he walked around naked, like or in a robe.
Matt Lauer.
No, that's the Today Show.
Charlie Rose.
Yeah. Okay. Matt Lauer was canceled by the Today Show.
Yeah.
What if you had an upstart network and you started a morning show with those two and call it the Cancel Network?
Produced by Harvey Weinstein.
No, he's too bad.
Cancel News Network.
He's too bad. They're all bad. The Canceled News Network.
Yeah.
And you put those guys on it. And the interview is Louis C.K.
Exactly.
and Kevin Spacey.
All these Louis,
I'll tell you this.
I'm sorry,
I think the Today Show's, Matt Lauer was bad, but I think the Today Show's gone way downhill since he left.
It's wild, isn't it? And my whole thing about the cancel culture is, if you do something bad, you obviously should go to jail for it. But even if it's just things that aren't illegal, like Kevin Hart, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he got...
Oh, that was awful.
Don't you think people should be given an opportunity to learn from their mistakes?
Who wants to be judged at your worst moment?
Exactly. I agree.
And I just saw... But now Kevin Hart hadn't been canceled because he wasn't
able to host the Oscars. Yeah, absolutely.
Because they wanted him to apologize for stuff he had said on stage 10 years earlier.
Exactly.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And he'd already apologized. Yeah. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy. So the stuff that we saw in the 80s and 90s that now people are
it's a completely different time.
It is a different time. Yeah. You don't say it now. Yeah. Back then it was more acceptable. Yeah. It's a weird thing though. But I'll tell you this. I saw Sean Penn say this. Did you see this recently?
No.
Sean Penn, I think I've got this right. When he was on the set of some movie back in the 80s or 90s, he punched somebody. And he wound up doing like community service or even a little jail time. It was like an assault. He got in a fight. And so he was asked about the Oscars. Apparently he has given his Oscars away. He's just like,
he's one of those guys who just doesn't mean anything.
He's really weird.
Yeah.
He's really supporting, what he did it for was Volodymyr Zelensky, who's the leader of Ukraine.
Yeah.
He wanted that guy at the Oscars. They wouldn't let him. At that very same Oscars, Will Smith punched Chris Rock. And so he's like, why did I go to jail? And Will Smith was being cheered by the crowd 5 minutes later.
Millions of people. Yeah.
That was awful.
The
way they treated that was wrong. I mean, Chris Rock was punched in the face in front of 1 billion people by Will Smith. And 10 minutes later, they're giving Will Smith a standing ovation.
Right. He won an Oscar later that night. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, not that long later, a few minutes later.
Why he wasn't escorted out? And
exactly.
Kudos to Chris Rock for keeping his cool, but he gave it to him in his latest stand-up special.
As he should.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock, he saved the Oscars.
He did.
Otherwise, that could have become a complete melee.
Yeah.
That's probably... Do you think that's the most iconic or memorable moment from the Oscars ever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's another one where somebody streaked across the stage.
I don't remember that.
Well, you wouldn't. It was a long time. It was David Niven was on stage in the 70s.
Yeah.
And a streaker just walked out behind him with some message,
Yeah.
And then the other one was when they called the wrong movie.
That one. Well, that's a toss-up.
I would say
that was huge, man.
Was huge.
Yeah, that was meme-worthy.
They called La La Land as the winner,
exactly,
and Moonlight had actually won.
Do you know who was to blame for that?
I do not.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
How so?
He picked up he presented Best Actress, the category before.
Okay.
And it was Emma Stone, La La Land.
Okay, yeah.
But he picked up the Moonlight.
He
picked up the wrong envelope. So the one who was homeboy who read it?
Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. Yeah. He saw La La Land, Emma Stone, so he said La La Land.
Okay,
but it was supposed to say Moonlight, and it was Leonardo DiCaprio's fault.
Well, then why did DiCaprio?
There were two of them.
Oh, he picked.
There were two envelopes, and he picked up the wrong one.
But but did his not say Moonlight instead of Emma Stone for La La Land? Wouldn't it say Moonlight on it?
Because there was two of them that he picked up. He picked up one that wasn't supposed to go up.
I see.
I
see. Okay.
Yeah, it did.
That really was.
That was a weird thing.
That was screwed. And then the La La Land people come up and say, "Oh, there's been a mistake."
Absolutely. Yeah, that was classy of them. That was very classy.
I would not have said that.
You wouldn't have said a thing. You'd have taken it and walked out.
And then the next day I said, "Come get it.
Come get it, baby."
Pry it out of my cold dead hands
somewhere. Yeah.
Because later, in fact, if they had done that if they had gotten away with it, they had just taken it, accepted, left. I think later the Oscar folks are probably saying, just let them keep it, for God's sake.
Well, Moonlight was so much better than La La Land to begin with.
I'll fight you over that. God almighty. I hate Moonlight. I think Moonlight, this is a little movie. Moonlight is awful and boring and terrible, and I think La La Land is one of the best 10 movies I've ever seen. I think La La Land is one of the best 10 movies I've ever seen.
That's a hot take right there.
I love it. Thank you.
You have finally given me a hot take.
What's DiCaprio's best movie?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
You know what? Departed?
Maybe Departed. I don't know. He transcends movies, dude.
Titanic. Titanic's the best movie.
You're right.
Titanic's amazing. I watch it for fun in the afternoon.
I do too.
I love it.
It's so long, but it's so good.
Have you seen The Bear, the TV show?
Yes, I have.
Did you like it?
Loved it.
I thought it was incredible. We talked about this. I thought it was incredible.
Fantastic. It's getting some hate.
Why?
People are like, I don't know why it's so good.
But it is.
A lot of people are like, I think there's a hype train behind it, which there is.
I don't care.
I think it's great. Yeah, the homeboy, the Carmy or whatever.
Oh, the actor?
He's on his way up.
That can't. Listen, I'll recommend it to this tiny audience.
Yeah.
I will recommend The Bear.
Yeah.
Which is on. I don't even know what.
It's on Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal. Everybody in it is great. There are 2 episodes in the second season. I think are two of the best episodes I've ever seen of anything.
Yes, back-to-back episodes.
You know what they are,
I know
too.
exactly what you're talking
Christmas
about.
and Forks.
Yes, loved them.
Forks made me cry.
Yes.
You get a little Taylor Swift playing, I'll start crying.
I thought the family episode was better, but hey, I loved them both.
Forks is my favorite.
Yeah.
The family episode was amazing as well. Anyhow, very, very good stuff. All right, what do you have for? Do you have an overrated, underrated?
I got an overrated, underrated.
I figured you would.
Let's go. Flying via airplane.
Overrated. I don't want. If I could never fly again, I'd do it. They're talking about a thing where I go to Las Vegas now. You read that meeting?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that because I don't want to fly.
You hate flying that much.
I hate it.
What about it? Don't you like?
I feel like every flight I'm on is going to crash and kill me.
Everybody has that feeling.
But I have it. It's not that if I get on there, I'm not like going crazy. But I really am afraid. Because I've tried to do things the right way so I can eventually retire, and I always feel like when I step on that plane, oh my God, it's going to go down, and that's going to be it. Now I know that's absolutely unfounded because there hasn't been a plane crash commercially in like 14 years. But I would never fly again. I'd never leave this state again.
Really?
I'll go from here to the mountains to the beach, and never. I don't care.
There's nothing that you want to see. You've seen everything you need to see.
I went to Europe when I was younger. Yeah. I've seen Italy. I've seen London. I've been to Paris. I've been to Los Angeles. I've been to New York. I've been to Florida.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
There's this new thing. I fly 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. Well, you like those baseball
I love the
stadiums.
baseball trips, and that's the only way to get there. I'm not driving to Arizona.
If I were going to do a baseball trip like you do, and you go to baseball stadiums all the time, I would wait till I'm retired.
Okay.
And I would one summer go like up and down the East Coast, and then the next summer go to the Midwest, or just make a whole 4 months out of it and drive the whole thing.
That would be the best thing, but I'm far from retiring.
Well, of course.
My dad's.
You're never going to retire.
No, I'm never going to retire.
You've said you're never.
I'm never going to retire.
No,
my dad's closer than I am, and we're doing it together, so we have to do it now.
Yes.
But I drove to Colorado. I drove back from Colorado one time, and I'll never do that again.
That's hard.
It was absolutely insane.
And you didn't bring me any drugs.
I didn't bring you any drugs. I still feel bad about
nothing.
that. Still feel bad. But there's this one thing about flying. It's the younger generation. We're going to blame them again. They make the plane their own personal space.
Yes.
Like, I'm sitting behind the last plane ride I took. I was sitting behind these 3 19, 20-year-old girls. They get in the plane, just throw the seat back as far as it can go.
Really?
And they just snuggle up in their little blankets and put their AirPods on.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm sitting, like, get out of my lap.
You're right there.
Like, get out of my lap.
Do you know what I'm able to do when somebody tries to recline the seats?
Yeah.
My legs are so freakishly long that I can plant my knees against it, and they think something's wrong with the chair. So they can't put it back.
That's how my gut is.
Yes.
Yeah, it gives
a little.
Yeah, exactly.
My knees, I mean,
they're sturdy.
And I get a little pain there, but I'm like, come on, bring it, you know? Now, what are your thoughts on is that rude to recline?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think just sit up straight.
Well, I disagree with that.
We're not on a 10-hour flight.
I disagree with that. If there is I'm with you on young people and my hatred and loathing for them. But if you're on a plane and the seat reclines, which they all do, I mean, they make it that way. You can use it as far as I'm concerned, you know.
True, but
I mean, I don't like it, but
I think it's very rude just to, like, I get in my seat and I sit there and I don't move.
You don't move it back.
I don't get up to go to the bathroom.
Really?
I do not move from my seat once I sit there.
Really?
I make sure that I pee before the plane. Yep. Unless, thankfully, I haven't had an emergency or anything. Yeah. But I do not move.
Did you hear about that flight that, this was a few weeks ago now, it was flying from, I want to say, it was Atlanta. It was Atlanta across the ocean to somewhere like Munich or somewhere. Yeah. And it got about 2.5 hours into the flight. It was just barely over, I think it was over Virginia or just barely out in the ocean. And somebody had explosive diarrhea up and down the aisle.
Yes.
And they had to turn around and go back to Atlanta. They couldn't even land like in Washington, D.C. They turned around and went back to Atlanta. Now, here's my thing. Just keep on going. Just give me there.
Thank you. We're not there. I'd have been like, let's take a vote. We are halfway to me. I'm not.
Right. We're 2.5 hours into it. It was an 8-hour flight, but they turned around and they couldn't leave again for like 12 hours. You know, it took forever.
I went back home. I'd be like, I want my money refunded.
I agree.
I am not getting on. That's.
I know. You know, hold your nose. Let's go. I can do it.
Exactly. Suck it up.
I can do it.
Everybody's seen a little crap from time to time.
I can do it.
I'm not going to Munich because this doo-doo head-ass dude down here, bro.
Whoever it was, I mean, he splattered from the cockpit to the back.
Oh, that's terrible.
From what I've
I'd
heard.
have been so pissed.
Oh, it's bad. It really is. Yeah. Now, is there anything else that needs to be said on this episode of The Square and the Round? Because I thought it was good and went by quickly.
Absolutely. It did go by quickly.
Maybe it was your shirt.
Maybe it was. It's hypnotizing.
Your take on Moonlight being better than La La Land bothers me more than anything else you've ever said.
Well, the Academy, they agreed with me at least. Well, Warren Beatty tried to throw a wrench in it.
And your take on The Godfather not being
I
can't
do it, man.
I have a phenomenal trivia question for you about the Oscars.
Okay.
Next episode.
Perfect. Love it.
I will keep it in my head, and we'll have it next episode. Until then, The Square and the Round.